Thanks for joining us on Stay the Course. We've been looking at the subject matter of wisdom, dealing with dialogue. We've talked about the terminology in understanding. We've talked about understanding the person that you're going to talk to, the context of their life. If you don't understand the context, then you don't know where they're coming from. Today we want to talk about preparing for any kind of dialogue, any kind of meeting that you're going to have with somebody. And the reason this is important is because in the book of James, James says, be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Talk about wisdom. That's wisdom. Swift to hear. I want to hear. I want to learn your story. I want to understand your terminology. I want to know where you're coming from. Swift to hear. Slow to speak. Slow to respond. Slow to anger. Slow to wrath. All right? Through the years, I've had to sit down with a number of black pastors and other African-American black people in our church. And I've said this before, but I think it's important. Once I understood the context of what it's like to live in white America, it just literally took blinders off my eyes. I saw a life I never even knew existed before. I had no idea some of the things they were going through. That's why terms like Black Lives Matter is a volatile term. It means different things to different people. So you sit down and you learn the other person's story and you prepare yourself in advance to be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Because if you enter with that in mind, you'll be far more receptive to what's going on and the dialogue will go far better. You'll need to have a gentle and humble heart. We'll talk more about that in our next session. But we also want to make sure that when you enter in a dialogue, put your expectations on the shelf. Expectations are an invitation to disappointment. I cannot tell you how many times I've thought, this is what I'm going to say, this is what they're going to say. I played that little video in my mind, and it isn't at all the way it turns out. Put your expectations on the shelf. Be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Be quick to understand before being understood, and that dialogue will go far better.